guys, I'm Melissa Woodford with Conservative Shoutout. Today we have Jonathan Koeppel with us. He's going to be telling us a little bit of what's going on in the state of Louisiana, where they have some strict lockdowns right now. They're talking about what Christians can and cannot do. They're giving some specific rules for them. Jonathan, can you lay out a little bit of the ground game for New Orleans right now and what's happening?
So New Orleans is on full, it appears to be full communist lockdown at this point, but mostly geared towards Christians. It's disproportionate how strict they are with Christians versus other groups. For example, there's been BLM protests about taking down monuments. They had a Joe Biden parade right after Joe Biden was projected or called as the winner of the 2020 presidential race. There was a parade, it was celebrated by the city, no big deal. People just gathering, free speech, freedom to gather, all that good stuff. But then when a Christian group does it to gather to pray and worship in a public space, they get ridiculed, attacked, viciously defamed by the mayor of New Orleans. This started in November, big time, when there was a Christian gathering that was just a worship event saying, hey, let us worship. It's called Let Us Worship, organized by Sean Foyt.
Right.
And his crew from California, and Lauren Daigle happened to just show up on her bicycle. The mayor got really upset, cancels Lauren Daigle, cancels all the Christians, says she's going to impose fines and penalties and look up every legal aspect to pursue against event organizers and people involved with it. So it's really tough right now in New Orleans.
You had mentioned a pastor who was arrested for actually trying to meet in church. Could you explain that situation a little bit?
That situation is ridiculous because I know tons of pastors who have been having church since the pandemic. Okay, I think Pastor Tony Spell, the difference between him and the other pastors is when the emergency order first came out, he's like, I'm not going to close at all. Most churches close for like a week, a couple of weeks, and then open back up. He totally was like, no, I have a First Amendment. I'm not closing my church. This is my building, my property.
And how many times was he arrested for continuing to have church?
33 times.
So, Jonathan, I know that you actually recently interviewed Pastor Tony Spell. So we're going to go and play a little bit of that interview now.
They arrested me in front of my church. What law have I broken that you're arresting me for? They could not give me a law. We refused to comply.
Yeah, when I went to visit him, he made me aware. He says, hey, you're on federal cameras right now because they've got this place staked out. It's a church.
Exactly. What is happening to America? Another thing that's happening recently is that we are hearing reports that people like sex offenders are being released from prison to make room. And then we're seeing pastors being threatened with prison. So what kind of country is this?
It states the obvious that the government is perverted and evil and wicked. Put that picture in your mind. We have a jail full of criminals who made decisions to commit crimes, but they're letting them out early, regardless of if they had good behavior or whatever reasons they're letting them out early, they're letting them out early. They're making room for Christians that are having prayer gatherings.
In the movie Bug's Life, there's a really strong analogy it makes. If everyone resisted, even if small businesses resisted, if every church across the country started to stand up, we would have an incredibly strong force that could overcome this oppression. So we're going to play a little bit of that clip now.
There was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss, they're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this grain is a puny little ant. Did that hurt?
Nope.
Well, how about this one?
Are you kidding?
Well, how about this? You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
Why do we have this fear, and what do you think could happen if more of us just started saying no, like Pastor Spells?
Churches need to get together. They can't stand alone, because if they stand alone, it's an easy target. The government will just take out that one church. But let's say you got 100 churches and 100 different congregations getting together in support of the same thing, that's a powerful group. So when the church gets together and works together, they can change things. So church people need to just man up, woman up, and put on your big boy drawers and just get to work. Stop being afraid.
Definitely. Well, I think that what you're doing, just speaking up publicly about it in your state, I think that is an amazing first step to talk about all that corruption. And thank you so much for just coming on today to share your story with us and encourage us.
You got it. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Jonathan. You take care. And this has been an episode of Conservative Shoutout. Please make sure that you subscribe and you follow us. Also, Jonathan has his own channel, which is a podcast called Logic and Common Sense with his co-host named Emily Bird. I would encourage you to go check that out as well. We want to thank you so much for your time, and God bless you guys.